Hello everyone. In this course, I'm going to simplify all the ChatGPT tutorials in the simplest form possible. And so before starting, we need to understand what is large language model and how it works. But you would say, why I need to learn large language model? I can simply start using ChatGPT. Well, yes, you can, but we are not going into the theory here. We are trying to get a thorough understanding or the fundamental understanding of it so that that can be utilized in the future prompt creations, and also it will help you out in all the other things of the ChatGPT. So I'm not going to go deeper. I'll quickly explain you what exactly it is. ChatGPT is an AI model based on this large language model. And large language model is nothing but a simple text generator which can read, understand and generate human-like text. Note here, human-like text. This is the differentiator compared to all the past AI chatbots we had. Past chatbots used to create more of a robotic output, whereas here it will create like a human-like text, like it as if someone at the other end is a human who is writing the output. But how is it able to do it? For that, you need to understand how large language model works. Well, there are three parts here, and I'm just simplifying this. Yeah, there is much more that goes deeper into the level, but I'm just simplifying for the real life applications. Large language model, firstly, is trained on massive amount of or sort of enormous amount of text data, and this text data is either from websites, textbooks, conversational and so on. Once it is trained on those enormous text data, the model is trained to learn the patterns and context of the word relative to the other word. It tries to find the patterns, context and so on. Once it keeps on doing it, it will predict the word. What does predict the word mean here? So just give you an example. If I input Johnny into the prompt, ChatGPT or sort of large language model will take this as an input. It will analyze that. It will break down into a small pieces or tiny pieces called as token, but will not go deep into it. It will break down those words and tries to find a pattern and context. But Johnny is a well-known poem we all know. So probably this model have seen this number of times. So it could recognize the pattern very easily. It's like called as a strong pattern or a power pattern. Once it finds the pattern, it predicts the next word. So let's say Johnny, yes papa. It will add that word to the existing input, and then again it will predict the next word. It will try to find the pattern, context and keep generating the text till it thinks that it has sufficiently created the text, and then it will stop. So the takeaway here is you can direct the output in a particular direction or a context by just adding the context and pattern in the input itself. The more the data it is trained on, the more learning it does with different iterations and so on, the better output it will predict. And so what you see here in GPT model 4 is that it is trained on more data compared to GPT model 3.5, which was used in the past or sort of even now available. But what I want to say is, as more and more data is available, more and more pattern and context it's learning, because you can also feedback if you like the answer, you didn't like the answer and so on. So it's also learning, right? It will keep on predicting better things. You will get better results over the time. Also, one thing to know here is if you input the exact same prompt, you won't get the same output every time. You might get some variations in the output. So that's called as randomness in the output. So large language model adds randomness or sort of diversity in their output to keep the output more conversational and like creative rather than mundane and like monotonous like the previous chatbots used to do it. So if you're someone who's like looking for generating ideas or brainstorming the ideas, this level of randomness in the output can be your friend, because you're getting 10 different things every time, even if you're inputting the same prompt. But if you're someone who's looking for a specific detail or a specific direction, then you need to craft your prompt by adding in some context, some more information. So if you add context and more information in your input, you see this second part, it will understand and pattern or context in your field or in your direction that you are looking for, and it will give you the output accordingly. So now you understand. So in summary, ChatGPT is an AI model based on large language model, and how large language model works is it's trained on enormous amount of text data, and it keeps learning the pattern and context of the words that it is trained on, and then it create human-like text. And it also have randomness in their output every time, even if you put the same prompt again and again. So that's the fundamental you need to understand to go forward.